sequencing. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having this time and separate this space to join us in the Dynamics Business Central 365 and Dynamics GP webinar series. In this opportunity, we will walk through how to deploy and use the reporting services and Excel reports that Microsoft Dynamics GP has out of the box. So I hope you can enjoy and meet all your expectations. Our agenda, as always, I want to introduce you to some basic aspects and prerequisites, and then we are going to perform a demonstration. Here, I will show you the required aspects to perform the deployment and how to use the different reports. Then we will finalize the webinar by having on a space to answer all your questions. For questions, please, I will appreciate if you can write in through the question and answer Zoom panel, or just take note about us and ask the questions by the end of the presentation. So let's get started. From the basic concepts or the basic aspects, the deployment process is in reality some set of tasks that Microsoft Dynamics GP perform to publish some predefined reports to a specific location. This location could be SQL reporting servers, a Microsoft SharePoint library, or a shared folder for the Excel reports. Each shared folder could be is shared over the corporate network. One of the advantages to have these kind of reports or to deploy these reports is that you can access those reports directly from the Dynamics GP client, or you can use the web browser in case of the reporting services reports, or you can use Microsoft Excel in the case of the Excel reports. As normal, Dynamics GP normally organize or sort the reports based on its functional series, which means by financial, sales, purchasing, fixed access, payroll, human resources, and etc. And you can have some kind of reports. For example, the detailed reports will give you some detailed information about items, vendors, customers, or even transactions that you have posted through the system. The other type of the reports is the analysis reports that will give you some summarized information that you can use to get some analysis or to make some decisions. And in addition, you can have some KPIs or chart reports that you can use to make an analysis over the company performance. As always, another advantage that you can have with these reports is all of them can be customized depending on your specific needs, or maybe adjusting to some specific policies or internal procedures in your company. Let's talk a little bit about the Excel reports. The Excel reports normally display or pull information as the same information that you can see on your default Smart List favorites. So, for example, if you go to the GP and you open the sales folder, and from the sales folder, you choose the sales transaction, and then you choose the asterisk, which is the default favorite, the information that you can have in that Smart List will be the same information that you can see in the Excel reports. The Excel reports use an integration method called Office Data Connection, or ODC. This technology is responsible to get Microsoft Excel connect to the Microsoft Dynamics GP data. It normally links to the system and company databases and set the proper security so you can have the Dynamics GP data in an online basis. The Excel reports normally has two set of files as minimum. One of these files is the ODC file itself. As I told you before, it corresponds to the connection to the database, and it represents the default smart list object. In addition, you can have an Excel worksheet, which represents the reports itself. I have here an example about the files. In this case, for example, we have the _accounts_account summary.odc file. This file represents the connection to the database, and it will pull information for the account summary report in the sample company. In addition, we can have the Excel worksheet accounts._account summary, which represent the report data. Let's check some prerequisites. In terms of software, we need to have Dynamics GP, SQL Reporting Services, and Microsoft Excel installed and operational. Well, specifically for Dynamics GP and Excel has to be installed on the computer or in the terminal server where the user will normally connect to access the application. Reporting services has to be installed on the server that you have destined for this purpose. Normally, the reports can be accessed, in case of the reporting service, the reports can be accessed via the web browser. So the user of the client computer has to be installed any browser of your preference. For example, Chrome, Mozilla, or Internet Explorer, or Edge. For SQL reporting services, the version is only depending on the Microsoft Dynamics GP system requirement. So you have to install the reporting version that is in accordance with the SQL Server version and in accordance with the system requirements. So you can go to this specific documentation and check what would you need. In addition, we need to take some note about the configuration of the reporting services, because we need to get the URL for the web service and for the web portal. Finally, we need to get some modifications in the web.config file for the reporting service. In this file, we need to change the execution timeout, and we need to add the max request length. Later in the demonstration, I'm going to show you what exactly do we need to do. For Microsoft Excel, the only requirement that we have is a shared folder over the corporate network and having full control or full access to that folder for all the users that will access the reports. As an option, we can set another directory, and that directory will be local for each computer, for each user computer, or for each user profile. And that directory is used to save modifications that the user can do to each report. As always, if you want to make any customization for those reports, the only prerequisites that you knowledge, that you have some knowledge about the Dynamics GP data structure and how to make SQL scripting and query processing. In both cases, for reporting services and Excel reports, can be deployed to a Microsoft SharePoint library. In this case, you have to create the library in your SharePoint portal, and then you can assign the access to the proper users and assign the proper security. Please take some notes that deploying the reports to a SharePoint library is not part of these sessions. We are only covering a demonstration to deploy the reports to a native mode for the reporting service and to a shared network for the Excel reports. So and that's it. Now it's time to make a demo, to make the workshop. So let's check let's check all the concepts that I explained to you directly in the system and see what we can have and what we can do. So let me just some seconds to switch to my environment. So the first thing that we need to go to do is just going to the Microsoft SQL Reporting Server Configuration Manager application. Connect to the reporting instance and go to in the left pane you have to go to the web service URL and take note about this URL that we have here. In addition, we need to go to the web portal URL and take note about the URL that we have here. All those URLs are required or are needed in the deployment process. So I'm going to close the windows, just put it aside so we can access this information when making the settings for the deployment process. In addition, we need to go to the report server directory. Normally, depending on the version, you can have some variations. In this case, I'm using SQL Server 2017 version. So normally the report server is stored or by default in this path. Program files, Microsoft SQL Server Reporting Services, SSRS, and report server. Here, you can find the web.config file, and then you can use any text editor to open it and make the changes. I will use Notepad in this time. And then you have to look for the HTTP runtime key. Once you get it, you have to come here and change. Well, this is a Microsoft recommendation. You have to increase the execution timeout, and you have to add the mass request length. This change is important and is extremely required to do it, because if we don't do it, we are going to have some errors during the deployment process. If we don't increase the execution timeout, we're going to get an error message indicating that the timeout has come up and the report and the whole reports cannot be completely deployed. In addition, if we don't add the mass request length, we are getting another kind of error during the deployment process. So it's extremely mandatory to do this change in the web.config file. Just do the change, save the changes. Once you save the changes, you don't need to restarting the service is not required, because well, in this infrastructure, in this technology, the webcom.config file is used as it is read by each application that work with this kind of files. So you don't need to restart. You don't need to restart the service. Now, when you have this complete, you have all the prerequisites done, so you can start deploying the reporting services reports. Before going back to Dynamics GP, I'm gonna cover the prerequisites for the Excel reports. So you have to create a folder in your file server or in any server that you have in your organization that you can use for this purpose, and you have to create a share folder. In this case, I have created I have created a shared folder called GP Excel Reports. The important thing here is that this folder need to have full control for all the users that will access the reports. You can assign full control for a specific user when creating the share folder, or you can grant full controls for user groups. So it depends on you, but you can have the both options to do the security granting. Once you have that, you have all the requirements that you will need to perform the deployment. So let's go back to GP. Being in GP, you have to go to the administration homepage. Under the administration homepage, open the setup section, and under the system group, you can go to the reporting tool setup option. Click on it, and you will get the reporting tool setup window open. So this is the only window you need to access on GP to perform the deployment. Here, you're going to have different tabs. All of those that represent the settings that you need to do for each specific kind of report that Microsoft Dynamics GP normally work with. In this occasion, we're only working with the Reporting Services tab and the Excel Reports tab. So let's start with the Reporting Services. So click on the Reporting Service tab, and then you need to enter the information that is required for those reports. The first thing we need to choose what is the report server mode. The options that we have is not implement, native, and SharePoint integrated. If we change to not implement, that will indicate to GP that the reporting service and reports has not been implemented or is not deployed. The native mode is the standard or the normal mode that reporting services normally works, and SharePoint integrated is when you deploy the reporting services based on a SharePoint library. As I told you before, in this case, you need to create a library and assign the proper security and permission to the users. We won't cover the SharePoint integration deployment. We are going to focus on the native mode right now. So I'm going to choose native. The next thing that we need to do is enter the URLs. This URL has to be consistent with the URLs that we have in the Configuration Manager application. Report server is the URL that we have in the web service pane. So this is the URL that we have to enter there. And the report manager URL is the address for the web portal, which is this one that we have here. Okay. The next step is to enter a subfolder. It's not required, but that will give you some kind of organization or some kind of order in your reporting service portal. What is recommended? Because maybe you only have one instance of the reporting services, and you use that instance for GP and another set of reports that you have in your company. For example, you have some reports that will give you to provide information for your sales people, or maybe you have some personalized or specific report for your financial or for the board. So in that case, having a subfolder for the GP reports will give you orders and will give you organization in your reporting portal. I'm going to show you this later in another step. So my recommendation to you is just to create a subfolder and use that subfolder to indicate to GP that all the GP reports will be created under that specific location. The next section that we have here is the CRM connection information. Well, this information is not required at this time because we don't have a CRM implementation in this environment. But let me tell you that this information is required when you have CRM implemented and you want to deploy some metric reports that use both sources as a data. Specifically, in this case, Dynamics GP and CRM. If you want to deploy that specific reports, you need to enter this information. As I told you, it's not required because I don't have CRM installed or deploying in this environment. And the next section that we have here is the deployment status, but I'm gonna talk about that later. Let me go first to the second tab, which is Excel reports. And let me tell you what exactly do you need to do so you can deploy your Excel reports before moving to the other sections. In terms of the Excel reports, we have two sections: the system level and the user level. These sections are required to specify what will be the directory, the report directory path, where the reports will be published or saved. For the system level, we need to indicate what will be the method of the publication. As the same that we did in reporting service, we have the option to choose not implement. That means the Excel reports is not implemented in this installation. Then we have the network share, which is the mode that we are going to use in this demonstration. It will let me indicate what will be the path to the report directory. And when I choose SharePoint, it will allow me to enter the path or the URL to the SharePoint library that we're going to use for these reports. Okay, let's leave it as a network share. And here I have to enter the shared folder that we create over the network. The exactly shared folder that we create on the network. Remember that this folder has to be full control for all the users there that will access the reports. The user level is an optional setting. In this case, we are gonna enter a path in the local computer or in the local profile for each user, and that path is used to allow the user to save modifications that they normally use to the Excel reports. This means that when you do modifications, those modifications are always saved in a per user settings. Some specific, one particular aspect that we need to take into account here is that we have a wildcard. The wildcard is the percentage symbol. The percentage symbol will indicate to GP that this is the user login and the user or the user login name, and the user will use it as a subfolder in that specific path. So let me show you something that I have here in this terminal server. I have here in my documents, I have a subfolder called MyGP Excel report. Okay, and that is always based on the user profile, in this case user profile, because I'm using a terminal server, or it will be a local computer path. Okay, let me get back to GP. Once we have these settings done, we have everything that is required to start the deployment process. But before moving forward, let me explain you the latest section that we have here. Is the deployment status section. This section will indicate what are the different companies that we have in our system, and per each company will indicate if we already have the reporting services, the Excel reports, or the CRM reports deployed on each one. A green check will represent, will indicate that the reporting service of the SL report is already deployed on that specific company. And a red X will indicate that any specific kind of report is not already deployed or has any error. In this particular case, the CRM report, it has a cross-line circle indicating that information hasn't been provided for that specific company. Once you have this information in here, for example, you can do something like this. You can deploy the reporting services report for the sample company, which is Fabricant, and you can now deploy the Excel report for this company. And then you can have another company only having the Excel reports, and you don't want to have the reporting services reports on that specific company. So you can play with that kind of configuration. Or, for example, you can deploy the reports for a test company, indicating that you want to make some testing or some specific validations before you deploy the reportings in live. Once you deploy the reports, you can go back here to this window and make a redeploy for each company. If you want to do that, you have to click on the redeploy all report for selected companies checkbox. That will allow you to make a redeployment for that specific company. When will be required? Maybe, for example, well, maybe you change, you create another reporting service instance, or maybe the reports were damaged. So if you want to get the reports back, just enter it into this window. If you change the instance, you enter here the new URLs, check the companies, check the reports, and just click on redeploy and click on the deploy reports. Okay, it will well, all the out-of-the-box reports are always available, so you can deploy it when you want it. Okay. I want to start. I not want to start the deployment process because that takes some time, and we have some time restriction in the webinar. But in this environment, I already have it done, so we can check later how the report looks like and what we can have and what we can do with them. When you click the deploy reports, it will open a new Windows. That Windows will show you the progress of the deployment process. One important thing that you need to take into account, that you can do the deployment in separate process. For example, you want to deploy only reporting services for one specific company, and then you can go back to this window and run the Excel reports deployment. Or if you want it, as I do it in this environment, as I did it in this environment, you can deploy both reports at the same time. Okay, as I told you, I will run the process because that takes some time, but I will show you how those reports can be accessed and what the report we can have. So I'm going to close this window and we'll switch a little bit to the for Excel reports. I'm going to open the share folder, and here you can see two subfolders: data connections under the data connection folder, we are going to have another folder for each company. It normally uses the company ID or the company short name. It will be the same name that you have in your SQL database. And for that specific folder, you're going to have series subfolder. So you can see here, file for the company, file for the field services, files for financial, and etc. The data connection folder will contain the ODC files. As I told you before, it represents the connectivity to the database, to the data, to the Microsoft Dynamics GP data, specifically for the system and for the company you have deployed these reports. The other subfolder is the reports. And again, you're going to have a subfolder, which is the company name. And in the company name, you're going to have, again, the series. And for each series, you're going to have the Excel worksheets. This file represents the reports. As I told you in the basic concepts, you can access the reports directly in the location that you have used to deploy the reports. For example, if you want to see the accounts default report, you can double click over there. That will open Excel. Let's take some minutes. And once you complete, you're gonna get here the same information that you can see in the default favorite for the specific smart list. So let me make a comparison. Here I'm using the accounts report, and here I have the account number, the account description, the posting type, and the account category number columns. If we go to GP and open a smart list and go to the financial folder and open the accounts smart list and choose the asterisk favorite, I'm gonna see exactly the same information. Account number, account description, posting type, and account category number. Okay. Now I'm gonna show you another report. For example, let's use the account summary default. The account summary default will give you information about the balances for each account on in specific periods. If we go back to GP and open that smart list, if we go to account summary and click on the asterisk, which is the default favorite, we are gonna get the year, period ID, account number, account description, debit amount and credit amount, which is exactly the same information that we have in the Excel report. Again, accessing the Excel reports or performing the Excel report will allow us to get online information as the same that you get using a smart list. The benefit to use the Excel reports that you don't need to have a GP client open so you can access that information. Or maybe you don't need to have a login user on GP so you can see the same information. The only thing that you need to do is to get Excel and to get access to the share file and to get access to the database. So in that case, it will allow you to open or to pull the same information. Here in Excel, you can use this information. For example, you can create some pivot tables, or you can create some kind of filters that will allow you to work with the data and to perform, to build another reports that you can present to the company or to the board. Now I'm going to switch to my browser and I will navigate to the reporting services portal. So I'm going to click here. That will open my default browser, which is Google Chrome. Depending on the configuration, it will ask me for credential. Open it twice, so I'm going to close one of the tabs. Well, while being in the initial page or the homepage for the reporting portal, I'm going to see the folder that I specify in the reporting tool setup window in GP. So I create DINE 18EN folder to allow GP to publish all my reporting services reports. In that subfolder, I'm going to have another subfolders and some reports. These paginated reports that we have here, some specific represent some specific reports that we can use to check or to validate how the business analyzer is already configured, and how the business analyzer works right now. Business analyzer represents some kind of reports, specific reports. It normally has some KPIs or some metrics that we can use, but I don't have the business analyzer completely installed on my system, so I won't focus on those reports. If you want to get some more details about, you can refer to the documentation or to the user manuals that you have on GP or the online help, and go to the system setup, and under the system setup user manual you can look for the Microsoft Dynamic reporting services reports. It will allow you to get in deep about the business analyzer information. Let's talk about the subfolders that we have here. We have some subfolder for the data sources. That means that the Dynamics GP is going to create a shared data source for each database that we have in our system. The first one is for the Dynamics or the system database, because some of the reports who use information coming from both databases, the system and the company. And the other data source that we have here is a connectivity to the company database. In my case, this database represents the fabricant niche, which is the sample company. Let me explore now to the multi-company subfolder. Here, if we have more than one company installed in our system, and we make the deployment for those companies, for more than one company, we can have some reports that we can use in a multi-company basis. So he can consolidate information, or he can show information for a specific company. Okay. Then the report model subfolder is a subfolder for each company, where you can have the data model for each specific report that we have. And then finally, the reports are under the company subfolder and under the series subfolder. As I told you, it normally organizes the information based on the company and based on the series. So we can have here a set of reports for the field services, and if the series includes some charts on KPIs, you can have it, or you can access it by clicking or by entering to the specific subfolder. Okay, all the series has the same organization. The charts and KPIs subfolder containing the specific reports for that kind of reports, and then the paginated report, which will be the detail of the analysis reports that I mentioned before. Let me choose one of the reports just to give you some information about how they look and how they work. I'm gonna use, for example, let's use here the trial balance summary. The trial balance summary will give me the options to run a summarized version for the trial balance from my accounting data. Once I open the report, it will allow me to choose values for some specific parameters. What exactly do I want to use? For example, I don't want to use history year. I will choose, for example, for 2017, because that are the fiscal periods that we have in the sample company. I'm gonna make an account ranges. I'm gonna use, for example, let's use this from this account to this other account. From this account, only those accounts. Let's choose a starting date. For example, it will be from January to December, in this case 27, because 27 is my fiscal period. I want to sort the information, and I want to get some subtotal. If I click on the view report, it will use the parameters that I set and run the report using those values. Then I can have the report here. So as I told you before, you can access the reporting services reports without the need to have a GP client installed in my computer or in my terminal session, and I can get exactly the same information that I have on my accounting data. Depending on how the report works, you can have online data, or you can have data updated up to a specific day or a specific period, because sometimes, depending on how large is your database, the report can take a long time to run. Okay, this is an example of how to access the report through the reporting services portal. I'm gonna get back to GP and show you that you can access those reports since here. Once you do the deployment, well, it's recommended when the deployment process finish to close GP and restart it. When you restart it and log into the company, or the company that you have deployed the report, for example, I'm gonna choose the financial homepage, and when you choose the financial homepage, it will change the layout of the options page. If you see here, you can notice that we have an option for Excel reports, and we have an option for reporting services reports. I'm gonna open the Excel reports, and I will open my personalized list on GP, and it will load a list of the reports that I have for the financial series, because that's the one that I have selected here. If I go to the financial series folder in my shared network, I can see that I have here 16 reports. If I go to GP, I will see here that I have exactly the same reports. And in addition, it will list the data connections. So I can see here in this list the data connections and the report itself. In addition, it is showing me these two files because I have those two reports opening in Excel right now. Okay. From this list, for example, I will choose let me see, transactions. For example, I will use this one. This will show me transaction information for accounts. If I double click on that list, it will open Excel and that will pull the data for that specific scenario. What I have here, I have the journal entry number, the transaction date, the account number description, debit credit, the source document, and who did the posting. If I go to GP and open again a smart list, if I go to financial, if I go to account transactions, I will get that information that is coming from this favorite current financial journal. So if I click here, I'm gonna get exactly the same information. Okay. I can have the same option if I go to sales, homepage, then I'm gonna have here the Excel reports. If I click on there, it will load my sales reports for this specific company and for this specific series, and it will be the same. For example, I can click here the customer address. If I double click, it will open Excel and it will pull the information. Okay, if I go to a smart list and open the sales folder, and under the sales customer address and customer address default, I'm gonna get exactly the same information. Okay, now let me show you information for the reporting services report. I'm gonna click back, and then I'm gonna choose here the reporting service report option. It will load all the reports that I have for the sales series under the sample company or fabricant company. I have here about 57 records, which represent the 57 reports that I have published for that specific company. Okay, let me choose one. For example, let's choose the first one, accounts due. If I double click on that, that will open the default browser, and in the default browser we navigate to the report and report directly. So you don't need to go to the home page on the reporting service portal and then explore or navigate through the folder structure to get the report. No, it will directly open the report and then allow you to enter the parameters values that you need and then perform or execute the report by clicking in the view report. Okay, this is how it is normally works. Just one final demonstration or one final step is that you can customize the reports. So I'm going to make an example how to customize a report that I have here on reports and services. I'm gonna use the financial series, and in the financial series, I'm gonna open the trial balance detail by clicking in the ellipsis and choose the edit in the report builder. So if you want to do that, you have to have the report builder already installed in your system and having access to it. So let's open the report builder. I'm just going to make a simple modification of the report and show you how it normally works. When you open the report builder, for example, I just want to modify the title. I'm going to say this is customized by Eddie Yepes. Well, it's a simple today, but you can choose any modification on the report layout, even the report data set, etc., etc., etc. So when being here, you can do any kind of modification that report builder will allow you to do. In addition, you can create new reports based on your own data or based on your own specific needs. You can build it from the scratch, or you can use one report as a template. Then you can save it in the same subfolder structure, and depending on that, you can see that customized report even in the GP report list. I'm just gonna modify the title. I'm gonna save the file as a new name. When I save it, I will choose the financial series for the customized by Eddie Yepes. I'm gonna save it, and then I'm gonna see the report builder and get back to my report portal. I'm gonna click on refresh. And then you can see that I have here the new report that I have created, which is a modification of the original trial balance detail. If I click on this report, if I run it, sorry, I will get information for those parameters, and you can see that you have the modifier title. If I go to Microsoft Dynamics GP, go to the financial series and choose the reporting services reports, you can check here in the list that I have the new report that I have created. If I choose it and double click on it, it will directly open the report on the web browser. And here, as I did before, I can enter all the parameters and perform the report. Sorry, execute the report, and I'm gonna get the same information. Well, this is all the things that I have to show you today. I hope this can be very helpful for you, and all this session can dare you to perform this kind of operations deployment in your own companies. So right now, if you have any question,